Let's roll. No stopping. Way to go. go. We must move! Let's go! captured. Nice shot. Fiera. Nice shot. Let's roll.
like a peerless person, like to a certain extent. There's not too many people I can look left and right, and we, you know, I like we have similar experiences. You know?
Yeah, is there anybody that you ever contacted, like Jodie Foster or someone who's made it through and seems pretty put together?
Not really.
No?
Like, no, not really. I mean, it's kind of a weird cold call, you know? Kind of like, hey, Jodie Foster.
But I would think that's
It's
such a small clan of people. Like if a comic called me that I knew, you know, and they wanted to talk to me, I would talk to them because it's such a small clan of people.
Well, I mean, we do have our weekly therapy sessions. Yeah. You know, so, yeah, me, Elijah Wood, you know, Jodie Foster, you know, yeah, like we all get together and yeah, we weep. You know, actually we do primal screaming. That's what we do.
I was describing what it was like. I have a friend who, Ricky Schroeder, who is. Yeah, obviously he was very famous when he was young as well. And
one of my favorite theme songs, TV theme songs of all time, Silver Spoons. Oh yeah.
And I was saying like the way you developed is not like the way the recipe calls. Like the recipe calls for you to have a childhood and try to figure out life, and then become a man and try to find yourself, and then try to find your path. And by the time he became a man, he was already famous. And the same thing with you. You were already famous as you were developing and learning.
Yeah, you know, yeah. I don't know exactly how to like kind of even describe it, because it's always the way my life has been, kind of thing. Like in the same way that like a lot of kids, like, you know, they go out and they, you know, catch bugs and play sandlot baseball or whatever. Like it's just like like that's the way it is. Like you don't really realize how unique the whole situation is until you have perspective, because you have nothing to compare it to really, other than I guess TV shows and movies and things like that. So I knew that my upbringing was unique. You know, I knew it was different, but at the same time, it's kind of just, it's not until you get some perspective, some life experience, until you really realize that, oh wait, this was particularly weird.
You know, I think one of the aspects that's particularly weird about it is a lot of kids that grow up famous, they grow up on the set.
Yeah.
And they grow up constantly around people who treat them very differently than everyone else. It's not just that you're famous, it's that you're famous and you're also the complete center of attention. Like you're the reason why we're here. We're here to do this television show. We're here to do this movie. We're here to do this thing. You're the star. And that, I think for a kid, that's a very strange place to be.
Yeah, and especially like, I mean, like when I was a kid, like even before I started working, I always liked being like the center of attention kind of thing. I was definitely, you know, I was very boisterous, you know, but in general, like I never really liked being fussed over. Like I didn't like, you know, like the hair, makeup, costume people like poking at you all the time and things like that. I actually wasn't a huge fan after a while of kind of like being the center of attention. You know, it does become a job after a while.
Yeah.
You know, like early on, you kind of just do what you do. Like that's like I was good at it, and boom, like in the same way like that you do like anything that you're like you like.
It's weird that child labor laws don't apply to acting.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm pretty well versed in child labor laws.
Well, how's that work then?
It goes from state to state. They can work you, like let's say, like in New York, they can work you 10 hours.
Yeah, but stop right there. They can work you. Like,
Well,
you can't get a job if you're 8.
That's what you're kind of like. That's what their limit is. At the same time, you have to get 3 hours of schooling in plus an hour of lunch. So really, your available window is only 6 hours or something like that a day. And that also in that 6 hours, they're always like setting up the lights for the next shot and the hurry up and wait kind of part of of things. That's why like the second Home Alone, it took like nearly 5 months to film because they can only I'm in virtually every scene and they can only use me X amount of hours per day kind of thing.
But isn't that the only job that you can work when you're 8 years old?
I don't know.
I mean, you can't be a carpenter.
I mean, I guess you can do modeling, I mean, but like some kind of performing arts kind of thing. Like there are dancers and so forth. Because I was a ballet dancer before I was an actor.
Really?
I did ballet for a number of years. I'm a classically trained ballerina right here.
Wow. Is it a ballerina if you're a man?
I call it. I say I'm a ballet dancer. But there is a weird ballerino.
Ooh.
Like that some of them use, and I'm like, I'm not. I don't think I can call myself a ballerino. Like I just like can't. It's too broy.
Sounds like it's from Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. Hey, Ballerino.
I'm Billy Ballerino.
yeah. So I did that for a number of years, and there's a bunch of kids like that do that, and you get paid, and you do the work.
Wow.
So there are other, I guess, trades.
Yeah, it seems like it's only show business, though, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think it's more in the performing arts kind of thing. Like you don't see a lot of kids working the coal mines anymore, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, for good reason, right? But some people think that
it's like my 6-year-old's dying of black lung,
There's some horrible pictures from like the early 1900s of people actually working in the coal mines when they're little tiny kids.
Yep.
Let's roll.
Yeah, I mean, there are no newsies anymore,
Did you have any say in whether or not you worked when you were young?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Like it was after a while, it became, like I said, a job, and it was I never chose the projects. They were like my parents, essentially like chose them for me.
So they
it
were
was
like
kind of
good news.
Help! 3 guys left. Could use some help. Hold your fire. Three to go. Did you hear that? Throwing fire! Grenade out!
News Macaulay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They called me Macaulay.
You're gonna buy us a new house.
yeah, there you go. And like I never read any of the scripts. Like I would just read like the lines for like the next day or whatever. Like I would like get the gist of what the movie was about, but then I just kind of show up and hit my marks, find my light. And recite my lines.
So surreal.
It's kind of just like like it's what you do,
right?
Like it's like in the same way that like kids go to like school or something like that. Like you fall into a routine to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the human mind, right? It's so flexible. You could adopt to any sort of weird scenario,
and especially when you're a kid. I mean, like you can just bounce like all the time. Like,
kids adapt so easy.
Exactly, exactly. And I always had like a good memory and things like that. Like I liked, I was big and charismatic, and I like had a good memory, like so I could remember my lines. Like that's pretty much what like if you know like not.
Move it! Move it! Incendiary out! Incendiary out!
Counter-terrorists win.
Lost! Granape! Throwing fire!
Counter-terrorists win.
Let's go! Deploying flashbang. Incendiary! Smoke! Decoys out! Incendiary!
Counter-terrorists win.
Lost! Incendiary out! grenade.
Counter-terrorists win.
Go, go, go! Grenade out! Throwing smoke! Incendiary out! Granape!
Bomb has been planted.
Defusing.
Terrorists win.
Move it, move it! Fire in the hole! Incendiary! Grenade out! Throwing fire! Incendiary out!
Counter-terrorists win.
Let's go, let's go! Smoke! Granape! Incendiary! Deploying decoy! Fire! Throwing a grenade! Incendiary. Deploying flashbang. Laying down smoke. Incendiary out. Throwing fire.
Counter-terrorists win.
We got this. Grenade out. Flashbang. Incendiary. Throwing smoke. Incendiary out. Granate. Smoke.
Counter-terrorists win.
Let's go, let's go! Throwing a grenade. Flashbang. Throwing fire. Laying down smoke. Incendiary. Granate.
Counter-terrorists win.
Move it, move it! Smoke. Grenade out. Throwing fire. Incendiary out. Throwing a grenade.
Gonna give any advice to any people about like, yeah, you should put your kid into this line of work. But at the same time, like what producers really care about is whether or not you remember your lines. Like they like people like, never work with kids or animals kind of thing. And like, yeah, it's like, yeah, and they want they really all they really care about is you remember your lines.
Defusing.
All counter-terrorists win.
Easy
down smoke.
Counter-terrorists win.
We must move. I'm planted.
Bomb has been planted.
We are going to win.
Terrorists win.
This is easy. We kill them and then we go home. I'm throwing fire. I'm planted.
Bomb has been planted.
Grenade!
Bomb counter-terrorists win.
Now is the time. I'm throwing a grenade.
really, like, because apparently that's a problem. Like, for me, it never was. Like, if I ever lost my place, I would just see the script in my head and just read it. Like, I kind of had a photographic memory back then. Oh, it's faded now. Now it's gone. Now? I'm 37. I'm about to be 38 in like 2 weeks.
Feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Like my bowels are different. Like.
Because when you were directing yourself, how hard was it as an actor not to do voices? Because that is kind of your life.
Yeah, I mean, it was less of a leap than I feared it would be. You know, during doing Family Guy, I had gotten into